recognizing the power of healing hands. In our passage this morning, we find that one of the leaders of the synagogue, Jairus, and the woman with the issue of blood was in need of a miracle. They were both desperate for change, a change in their situations, a miracle that would take place and would forever change their lives. Both passages of Scripture were important as they were examples of faith and determination. They recognized the power of healing hands. There were a number of similarities when looking at both of these stories of healing hands. The sick woman had been bleeding for 12 years, and Jairus' daughter was just 12 years old. The sick woman's hands were used as healing hands and touched Jesus, while Jairus' daughter was touched by Jesus with his healing hands. Jesus called the sick woman daughter, and it was Jairus' daughter who was at the point of death. Both stories are stories of faith. Jesus told the woman with the issue of blood that her faith has healed her. And Jesus told Jairus, don't be afraid, just believe. Both situations changed immediately. Scripture says immediately her bleeding stopped with the sick woman. And when Jesus told Jairus' daughter to get up, she stood up and walked around. All similarities that would connect these two stories together. There is so much in this passage of Scripture so much that we can use to apply to our everyday lives. Our everyday lives when we look at the miracles in our lives, while recognizing the power of healing hands. Both Jairus and the woman with the issue of blood were persistent and determined to get what they needed. Scripture tells us that Jairus fell to Jesus' feet and begged him to come and lay hands on his daughter. It even speaks of Jairus' character as he followed Jesus and even waited while he tended to the sick woman's needs. Are you persistent when coming to Jesus? Yeah. The woman was persistent. She dealt with her issue for 12 years. And she knew that if she could just touch the hem of his garment, that she would be made whole. When you need his healing hands, are you willing to be determined to get to Jesus regardless of what's going on around you? Yes. What if we were persistent in getting to Jesus just as these two? What if we were persistent in coming to church and trying to get to Jesus and being in his presence so that we could get what we need? Persistence is key. These accounts also show us that sometimes God has to show us what God has done for others in order to increase our faith. You see, it was necessary for Jairus to see Jesus heal the woman with the issue of blood, so that his faith would increase. Jesus had to even remind him, don't be afraid, just believe. So he needed to see that Jesus had everything under control. So it was no need to worry, but just have faith. Even in our lives, God will remind us and even show us what God has done through the lives of others to increase our faith. You see, Sister Brown got a new job, so if God did it for her, then I know that God can change my situation around. And God bless Brother Jones, and he is feeling better. And if God did it for him, then surely he can do do it for me.
Yes, yes.
Both accounts show us the importance of having patience. My Lord.
All right.
Just imagine being Jairus and having to follow Jesus and even wait for him. Can you imagine how he feels as Jesus had the nerve to stop and to tend to someone else's needs? Jairus was patient even in the midst of his struggle.
All right.
You see, he knew that Jesus was going to get to his daughter, but it was just a matter of time. The woman with the issue of blood was hemorrhaging for 12 long years. That in itself shows that she was patient. She believed that he would do it for her, but it was just a matter of when it would happen.
That's right.
When recognizing the power of holy hands, everyone can't go with him.
All right.
When Jesus was going to see Jairus' daughter, he didn't have all of his disciples with him. He brought Peter, James, and John. When he got to the house, the people were weeping. And then he put them all out and took the child's father, mother, and those that were with him to get to the child. You see, everyone was not able to handle what was about to take place. Just because they've been with you all this time does not mean that they're happy to be with you during times of trouble.
Amen.
True, they may not even be able to genuinely rejoice with you.
Yeah.
When the miracle takes place in your life, even when the miracles take place in your life,
Yeah.
you probably heard the same birds of a feather flock together.
All right now.
But I don't know about you, but I want people around me who is going to believe and to celebrate with me.
All right now.
I don't know about you, but I don't want anyone around me that does not know how to intercede for me.
Yeah. All right.
So sometimes it's necessary for God to separate you in order for the miracle to transpire. Don't worry. They'll hear about it from a distance.
Come on.
So just remember, it's okay. Everyone is not ready to handle what God is going to do in your life.
All right. Yeah.
Recognizing the power of healing hands.
Yeah.
Last but certainly not least, God has the power to do anything.
Yes.
It is evident all throughout these accounts. Jesus told the woman with the issue of blood that it was her faith that made her whole.
Yes.
Then he tells Jairus and the people at the house that the daughter was not dead, that she was just sleeping.
Oh my God.
How many of us have some things in our lives that we thought was dead, but it was just sleep?
All right.
Whether it's our relationships, sickness, or even our finances, don't
All
worry.
right.
They're not dead.
Come on.
They're just asleep.
All right. Come on now.
Just as Jesus told Jairus, don't fear, don't be afraid, just believe. You see, God has the power to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think, according to the power of God that works within us.
Yes.
God can work miracles. God can change our situations. God can meet our needs.
Yes. Yes.
But the question is, do you believe? Do you recognize the power of healing hands?